A State of the Grind is brought to you from the city of Detroit, the place to have our community's most open-minded, creative, and dedicated people come together to redefine the word elite.
In our show, we'll be connecting community members whose insight and actions serve to embody the epitome of our society.
With each guest, we seek to learn, to build, and to further serve our community with our newfound knowledge.
We also work to elevate these individuals as we listen to their stories, perspectives, and their projects.
This week, we will be talking to David Shammas, local restaurateur, artist, and entrepreneur. Today, we'll be learning about David and his most recent endeavors with the art community, as well as his entrepreneurial ventureships.
So grab a seat, let's grind up some coffee, and enter the ultimate state of grind.
This is a state of grind. All right, so
Nice.
welcome, David. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you. It's nice to be back with you guys again. It's been way too long, and thank you for having me on A State of Grind.
Of course, man. We've known each other for a while now, probably a few years. I think the pandemic kind of distanced us all, but it's good to finally come together and reconnect with some old acquaintances, networks. So for those people who don't know you like we do, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure, man. My name is David Shammas. I grew up in beautiful Detroit, Michigan. I've been in my professional career in the culinary world for the last 30 years. Went to school in Chicago, helped a couple of people out there, came back to Michigan, and thrived as a chef for many years. And then later in life, around the time where I started meeting you guys, I decided to delve into my passion, which is art and community and being a part of the artistic subculture of Detroit. And it's been a great thing, especially since I've met you guys in the community projects we've been a part of. It's been fulfilling. It's been a lot of fun, and I've met some great people along the way.
Very nice, man. So what got you into pretty much your artistic talents and so forth? I mean, are you originally also from Detroit?
I was born in Baghdad, Iraq. I'm an immigrant of the old country. I came here when I was about a year and a half old and grew up in Detroit. Migrated from Detroit to the west side of Michigan. As far as my passion for art, I think like most artists, I feel like I was maybe born with it. I've been drawing since I was a little kid. It's always something I love to do. When you get older, you kind of fall out of certain things, you start focusing on others. It wasn't a career path for me. Maybe because I didn't take it seriously, or maybe I didn't take myself too seriously. I had all the support I needed, but I didn't really drive myself in that sense, or maybe I didn't think I was good enough to call myself a real artist. Growing up, when I had jobs, there were a lot of cooking jobs, and it's something I got really good at. And then somebody said, stick with what you know. And so I did, and I thrived for many years as a chef, as a cook, working in Chicago, working in Detroit, and being a part of that subculture of the restaurant world. The Anthony Bourdain school of the culinary underbelly. It was not unlike the art scene. Being a chef, it's just like being an artist. You're working with your hands, you're creating, and it's something that I gravitated towards for sure. And like I said, it wasn't until later in my life when you get older, you learn yourself, you start deciding, I want to do something for myself. And then I kind of put myself out there, man. I looked into community organizations like yourself, art groups, and I got involved. I got involved with the local community, doing what I love to do, which is being around other creative people. And it's been a journey so far, and I love it.
So you said putting yourself out there. So why Detroit?
Listen, growing up in the suburbs, we actually when we first came to this country, I lived in Detroit, and we slowly migrated towards the west. As I grew up, as I grew older, I started to appreciate the culture that was developing in the city of Detroit, and I started noticing it. And I started noticing a lot of people getting excited about art in the city of Detroit. A buddy of mine took me to the Russell District and the Tangent Gallery downtown. Grimy Detroit scenery with a bunch of amazing people that just were there to share their passion with everybody else. And I think that's when I ran into you guys. And then you got me involved in not just art, but community art and getting people involved. You know, the thing that you guys had me involved with, the Save the Bees project, was an amazing thing. I really loved it.
Absolutely.
Here's an organization, Save the Bees, that is doing their own thing by creating beehives in the city of Detroit. Something we take very much for granted. The bees, don't get me started on that, but we definitely need them.
Yeah, by the way, for those people that don't know what the Save the Bees project is, it's essentially a mural that we did on the east side of Detroit with a Detroit organization called Detroit Hives. So just give some point of reference, but yeah, that's pretty much
Yeah, Detroit Hives was doing some great stuff. And we got involved with the other artist from Aaron from the Heidelberg Project. And it was a great experience, man. It really lit the fire under me to like really get involved more so. So, you know, when I used to go to these art shows in Detroit and pull my paintings off the walls in my house and drag them to these shows in Detroit, my buddies would make fun of me like, Dave, you're only doing this to get a high off these young kids. I said, yeah, that's exactly it. I'm not here to sell paintings. I'm here to be around other artists and feel like an artist myself. Maybe I was being a poser. I didn't care, man. I was enjoying myself and I was meeting new people, and really that's what the strength is behind the motive. You know, the drive behind what we do is there's a lot of people out there like us trying to do the same thing, and it motivates you to try to be involved more so. And so that's where it started for me, and that's where it's been. Obviously, since the pandemic, everything slowed down, and I do miss it. I can't wait till we get back to that again.
So how did you get involved with the Tangent Gallery? How'd you...
You know, I just went there one day, went to an art show, and I just started meeting people, shaking hands. Hey, I'm David. And then I ran into a couple of guys from the Maddie group. Dave Messi and Evan Tassiopoulos. These two guys that were putting a collective of artists together. And they said, hey, why don't you join us? And they put me on a list of people so that when they needed art shows to be done, I was called in. I brought my stuff. They thought it was good enough to put on their walls, so I didn't argue with them. And it became a thing for me, man, where I would be involved in these art shows, and it was exciting, man. You know, I never got involved in, you know, any high-end galleries, never sought to, like, find representation or an agent or anything. I was just doing this for the love of the game, man. Just the love of just being there and being a part of something. And, you know, being surrounded by, in my words, real artists. And when I say that, I mean people that are doing this for a living. You know, I'm not trying to belittle what I do, but my artwork is really something that I kind of channel as a passion of mine. The people that I'm surrounded by when I go to these things, they are living it every day. They are going to every art show that they can. They're putting themselves out there as much as they can, and they're making a living doing their passion, and God bless them. I'm jealous. But at the same time, I'm doing my own thing. I'm just happy to be a part of it when I can. And it's a fun thing, man. It's an exciting thing.
Like creating your own niche. You're essentially going into this art, vision with just doing what makes you happy, what you're passionate about, and then kind of forming niche, but at the same time sharing that.
Yeah, man, I'm obsessive when it comes to stuff like that. I got way too many things going on, and maybe I shouldn't, but you know, we only have so much time in this world, man, to make as much of an impact. And not to make an impact so that everyone else notices, but to make an impact to show yourself that you're actually doing something. I like to stay motivated, man. Anything that inspires me, I'm all about it. Whether it's cooking, whether it's art or music. I like to be a part of something new, something different. If there's something I can contribute to that, I'm all about it, man. And so I have my hands in a few different things. I almost wish sometimes that I could focus on one thing, focus on culinary, focus on business, or focus on art and just have like a tunnel vision. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. A lot of people aren't like that. We want to explore as much as we can. I'm one of those few people that if I have a hand in something, if I have the ability to help or create or motivate or develop in some direction, I'm going there, or at least I'm giving it a try.
So since you talked about being, a restaurateur and a Detroit artist, tell us a little bit more on the niche of the restaurateur. How's it been going? A little bit of the past.
The restaurant business is a great thing. But it's a tough, fickle business. I got to tell you, it's always been a rough thing to be in the restaurant business. You have to have a certain mindset, a certain grind to work 80 hours a week, stuck in a kitchen all day. And I think that's the reason why I decided I didn't want to spend the rest of my life being a chef. As much as I loved it, as much as I got into it, I felt confined. And at the same time, it wasn't my passion in life, man. It's not something, like I never aspired to open a restaurant and be happy for the rest of my life. I knew there was more out there that I wanted to do, that I wanted to try. The restaurant business is tough. It's getting back ever since the whole COVID thing, but a lot of places that were struggling before have either barely made it or are out of the game completely. Now that things are getting back to normal, the hard part is finding people to work. I don't know where that dichotomy comes from, but it's been an issue. Trying to find help, but the economy's, it's bouncing back. Things will come back to some degree of normalcy. But aside from the pandemic, the restaurant business was recession proof. It was the one industry where that was always there. You always need a job. But with an industry like the restaurant business and COVID and masks and cross-contaminating and germs and food, it's one of those things, man, that took a really big hit that no one was expecting. And it's been tough, but it's slowly getting back.
People always gotta eat, so
people have to eat.
Be a restaurant,
people have to eat, and we still have to feed them, and we're happy to do it.
Yes, we can certainly all see the repercussions that this pandemic had on the restaurant industry. You can't go into any restaurant without either getting really slow service just because of the lack of staff, or you're always going to see those help wanted signs everywhere. And I agree with you. I think it's all going to go back to normalcy, but it'll take some time and it'll take effort on the community's end as well. So I am curious as to, from culinary school to art, what made that connection?
Well, from art to culinary school, the connection was, I worked as a cook for many years, and I worked for a lot of great chefs. And the consensus I got from a lot of these different chefs were the one part of cooking they always hated was baking. Pastries.
Really? Why so?
Well, this is what I found out. And I understood, when it comes to cooking, you can do a pinch of this, a dash of that, a little bit of this and that to kind of enhance things, make it your own. Pastry design is a very specific science. It's exact measurements, it's exact weights, it's exact ratios, and baking temperatures and time. It's a very intricate thing, and that's a reason why a lot of chefs got away from pastry design. But it's the same reason why I got fascinated by it. These great chefs that I'm working under, there's one thing that if they don't want to do that a lot of people aren't doing, all the more reason for me to do it. But with pastry design, it was another form of art, man. I don't know if you guys remember Sweet Lorraine's in Southfield.
Yeah.
Bill, you remember it? A great little niche restaurant that had a little pastry department, and I worked in that kitchen, and I begged my way into that pastry department because it was its own department. You were kind of doing your own thing, and man, I was making plum raspberry tarts and Bavarian apple cheesecake with a gorgonzola crust. I mean, hardcore, crazy stuff. And I was learning a lot. It was very intricate, and it was hard, and it was technical, and I loved it. And it was a form of art, man. And I literally, for a time, I considered going back to culinary school to learn cake decorating, to learn how to make wedding cakes.
Sure.
From a financial perspective, it's a great profit margin. You can spend $300 making a wedding cake that you can charge $3,000 for. The market on sugar, crazy. It's like it is a drug.
Yeah.
But yeah, sugar,
Absolutely.
it's big business. So that's what got me back into the culinary world and just using my hands, creating. If you look at a lot of pastry artists nowadays, you look at some of these Instagrams, and I'm scrolling through them all the time. The kind of artwork they make, what you can do with chocolate, like sculpting cement into statues. It's really an amazing stuff. Blowing sugar, like blowing glass. It's really cool stuff. And I loved it. I really got into it. But I only took it so far. Over the years, a lot of my friends that I grew up with started opening restaurants. And I became what is known as a mercenary in the restaurant field. Meaning, if a buddy of mine opened a restaurant and they needed somebody in a certain department to kind of step it up and get things going, they gave me a call. If there was a new bar being developed and they needed somebody to develop that cocktail menu, create an atmosphere, I was the guy that came in there. And I would use some of my artistic background to make those cute, colorful cocktails. You know what I mean? To create these huge vessels of infused boozes and vodkas and gins, and to make an aesthetically pleasing atmosphere at the same time as creating delicious cocktails and drinks. Bouncing around from restaurant to restaurant. It was fun. It's something I enjoyed doing. And then the pandemic hit and everything slowed down. And once that happened, I started focusing on other things. And eventually we'll get to that. But the pandemic really, as we all know, it put everything on hold. It put everyone on hold. And, you know, I'm a loner. I don't mind sitting in my house for a year. So I was fine taking a vacation for a while. But I got to tell you, I'm so happy that we're finally slowly getting back to some normalcy. And I think what we had going before, what Elite Worldwide, Elite Detroit had started before, is only going to continue that momentum. And I think once the sun is shining again and the doors are open, people are going to rush out there to get right back to where they were before. And I can't wait.
Absolutely. They want that social cohesion that they've been yearning for the last couple of years. And I can imagine, I mean, for you as an artist, right? Artists have this ability, like you said, you don't mind being alone for a certain amount, of time to create, and work on your endeavors. But then there's that fusion between wanting to share that passion that you made during that time alone. But also going back to the culinary scene, you fuse both the artistic side and the cooking side with the pastry, which makes it easy. It's very malleable.
You try to enhance your attributes, man. It's a good thing to have self-awareness in your adult life. You learn who you are, you learn what you're about, but then you learn how to be objective about yourself. Take a step back and look at yourself. What can I do? What are my abilities? And how can I utilize my talents as much as I can and be productive, be useful? And I'm lucky. I channel that. It's like being like OCD. To a certain extent, I'm a bit of a clean freak, man. And I'm always scatterbrained. But you channel that. You channel that in the right direction. In work, people love me, man. My surrounding is always clean. I'm always organized. And it helps everything flow. So that OCD part of me, it's used in my everyday life to not be a hindrance, but to be actually an attribute. But that comes from self-realization and being humble, man, and learning what you're good at, what you're not, what your faults and what your attributes are.
So let's talk about the community a little bit.
Yeah.
So I know that the food industry has a huge community around it, but I also imagine that the art community, within those two communities, there's a lot of overlap.
It's huge, man. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure a lot of artists had to cook in a kitchen at some point, or the other way around. The overlap is there, I think, because of how these two subcultures work and how they think. When it comes to the restaurant industry, maybe it was looked down upon that somebody had to wait tables for a living, or cook in a kitchen for a living, or wash dishes for a living. But the reality is, what I've told, as a manager, what I've told some of these young waiters and waitresses and cooks and dishwashers, I tell them, I said, you see these young people out of college in their fresh pressed suits and ties, the people that you're serving, They're no better than you are. They're not better off than you are. And there's no shame in serving these people, because the reality is, while you're serving them, they're struggling just like you are, maybe more so. You get out of college, you're 50, 60, 80,000 dollars in debt. You'll be paying that off for the next 20 years. In the meantime, that server that's waiting on that person could be making 50, 60 grand a year.
Yeah.
So to have that mindset that you are not only contributing, but you're thriving. And all you have to tell yourself is that it's okay to be that way. That it's okay to serve the masses and respect what you're doing and be proud of what you're doing. Same thing with the art community. I can't imagine these are rich people just sitting at home, bored, slapping paint on canvas. No, these are real people living everyday lives, doing what they can. I know a lot of artists that work in kitchens or grocery stores or do whatever they can to get by, to pay their bills, and then find that time to serve themselves and their passion by sharing their art. And it's definitely, the two subcultures are very, very similar in that state of mind. And maybe that's why I feel comfortable in both worlds.
All right. So let's talk a little bit more about your art.
Yeah.
So what's your medium? What's your go-to when you're feeling creative? This is where you gravitate towards.
Yeah, man, that is a tough one. I never went to art school. It's kind of one of those things I look back on. I should have went to CCS in Detroit, one of the greatest culinary academies, but I thought it was too expensive for me, so I ended up learning how to cook. My inspiration, I guess there's a lot of things, man, but I've always been into ancient history and ancient art, and fascinated by antiquity and the Egyptian pyramids, but not just the Egyptian pyramids, but the pictured rocks, the ancient people that went out of their way to grind flowers, blood, and liquid to make into a paste, to turn into a paint, and scribble on a rock that's been there for thousands of years. I don't know why that moved me so much, but it did. And I remember just putting my hands on there, just kind of feeling the history of that, like, wow, this is still here. And somebody went out of their way to create art in a world that we would never understand. And that was fascinating to me. And hieroglyphics and how, language was art. That's how people communicated. Before words, there was art. Before the spoken language, there was art. It has to be one of the single first self-expressions there is. It's giving yourself. As far as my influence, my style, my God, man, I don't even know if I have a style. I am kind of all over the place. A little bit of geometry, a little bit of symmetry. For sure, a lot of that ancient Egyptian and ancient art, it influences me. When I'm at these art shows, a lot of these great artists will tell me that they love my style of art, not necessarily because it's great, but because it's different. There's a lot of self-taught artists out there, and a lot of the self-taught ones are the ones that stand out a little bit because they're not conventional. Jackson Pollock took a bunch of paint and just splattered it all over canvas. There's a controlled chaos. There's a confusing cohesion to it. Some people might look at it and just be like, I'm just looking at splattered paint. Somebody else will look at it and say it's art. Same thing with Salvador Dali. Dali would paint a picture of horrific dreams, of clocks melting on tree branches, of a naked woman blossoming out of an egg. Just weird, unusual stuff. But it evokes an emotion. Picasso, his impressionistic work. Some people might look at it as like weird and sloppy, but the man has lived throughout his lifetime and has made an impression. With modern artists like Shepard Fairey that started the Obey Company. That picture right there on the wall, it's a picture of Andre the Giant superimposed underneath that says Andre Giant has a posse. And this guy, Shepard Fairey, his only thing was splattering bumper stickers all over the city. And that's how he got started. And from there, created an empire for some reason. Somehow created something. And his style of art is very rebellious. I know he did a thing where they put like a flag over one of those buildings down here in downtown Detroit. He's done a couple of works. Banksy is another one. With a political, almost a geopolitical message behind their work. They're not just expressing themselves, they're telling a story and putting an exclamation point on it. I'm inspired by all these different people, and a little of them comes out of me. If you come to my place, you'll see a few paintings on the wall, but you'll see even more on the floor half finished. I have so many. It's one of those things with me where I have too many things going on, but it doesn't stop me from thinking creatively. Sure. And I'll pick up a canvas and start working on it. But and I think a lot of artists will relate to this. Once you get frustrated with a piece, you have to put it down and walk away. Because if you're frustrated, it's not going to work. That inspiration comes from what you want, the story that you want to tell. So I have projects all over the house. One of these days, once I have some time to really sit down, and that's another thing. It's hard to create when your mind's preoccupied, when you have too much going on, too much anxiety in your life, or maybe that inspires some people. For me, it's the opposite. For me, I have to be clear-headed and kind of confident in myself at that moment. And then I create. And then I take a ruler and I start making lines. And that OCD in me, that need for feng shui, for geographic, mathematical cohesion, is the basis of my artwork, which makes it different. Almost like a mandala, like the Indian mandalas. Hyper detailed imagery. So my style is a little different. It's a little weird.
Seems a lot of yin to the yang with your style. I mean, culinary art, kind of a fusion there, and then what you just mentioned right now. But in regards to your path as an entrepreneur, that raises a lot of eyebrows. And I'm sure I don't know about your family. You said you were originally from Baghdad. So that community, or how did they feel in regards to you? Obviously, you were on a restaurant tour first.
Yeah.
And then obviously you transitioned that into the art, with the fusion of the culinary art and all. What would you say, how did they feel? Or did you just, I'm going to do my thing, I'm happy, I love this?
Oh yeah, well, as far as the local community, my family definitely supported me a lot. Growing up, everyone is there for you. Being a immigrant from another country wasn't so much an issue for me. Mm-hmm. Growing up in Detroit, this is a town of immigrants, man, and that's what we love about it. The diversity of Detroit, the diversity of culture, being Middle Eastern, being Chaldean, which is Christian Arab. A lot of people don't understand what that is, and understandably so. There's not a lot of us.
Not a lot. Yeah, there's like the population of Chaldeans here in Michigan, and then maybe some out in California.
And California as well. And so when one family came over, they said, hey, we got a good thing here in Detroit. They invited some more family. And then when they decided, hey, there's a huge community here, more people came. And then the unity with these people, the fact that they came together, they had each other's back, they looked out for each other, was a strong factor. Same thing with the Jewish community in Michigan. We kind of migrated in the same area, and there's a lot of similarities between the two cultures. But what's important is just the tradition of these cultures to like really look out for each other and want to see each other strive. But that's a universal thing, especially in Detroit. I think I got that everywhere, whether it's our culture or any other. It's been one of those motivating factors, man, that when you surround yourself with positive people doing positive things, they're going to bring you up. And as much as they want to succeed, they want you to succeed. Because Why would you not want your circle to be successful? Why would you not want to grow that circle into something even more successful? And the stronger your surroundings are, the stronger you are. What I was taught at a young age is surround yourself with people better than you. Not better, but some people that you can grow from, that you can learn from, that you can be humbled to. It's one of those secrets of life and business that applies in so many different ways.
They know something you don't. They bring something to the table that you cannot fill.
I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. I'm definitely not in this room. But I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. That's not going to help me. I want to learn from everybody else in the room. But no matter where you are, I think that's always going to be the case. There's always something somebody can teach me. There's always a story you haven't heard, an inspiration that you haven't clicked onto yet.
So would you say that's a philosophy that maybe would translate from culinary to art to entrepreneurship, or what are some philosophies that have kind of helped those transitions or make those connections?
You know, I have been lucky, man, and in the sense that I've always had people supporting me, and the philosophy is give what you get, man. Without getting on a rant about religion, in my opinion, all religion and science is based on one simple factor: karma. It sounds simple, but even the law of attraction, in science-based, it's a true fact. What you put out, you get back. And so my philosophy has always been, do good. Do good for yourself. Do good for others, because that will translate in other people doing good for you. When it comes to business, the philosophy has always been humble yourself. Surround yourself with people that are going to further you in whatever aspect of business you're in. And at the same time, take a step back when those people that are supporting you have an idea that you don't. There's been a lot of situations in business where I had a very specific mindset of, this is how I want this thing to be because I think it's going to work this way. And then those people supporting me were like, you know what? It's probably going to work better this way, and it'll be better for you in the long run. And so I stepped back and be like, you know what? You're right. You're the expert, and I'm happy to have you in my life teaching me these things. Being humble, man, it's kind of an important thing. You don't want to lose yourself into what you're trying to do. Everyone has a dream they're trying to achieve, but if someone's trying to help you with that dream, help them help you. Is one of those things I would say. And that's something I've learned recently. Like, my partners are like, Dave, help me help you. And I'm like, all right, let me shut up and do that.
So in regards to help, since we're on that point, would you say that helping yourself first, to build yourself up, and then so you can give more back? Or would you say that in regards to building? Because with an artist's, life, obviously you mentioned earlier how people are, making ends meet, whether a grocery store, they gotta pay the bills. They gotta build a foundation.
Absolutely.
So then they can strive to help others, right? So they have nothing to cut.
It's such an important point. It's like in relationships when they tell you, you can't make somebody else happy, Dave, if you don't make yourself happy first.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And it works in life, man. You have to be happy with where you're at in order to move forward. The first step of moving forward, before you move forward, is giving yourself an even keel. All right, I'm down here. How do I bring myself up to be confident enough to know I can do this, and then move forward? Now, what do I have to do to get to that next point? It's hard, man. There's a lot of things to be depressed about. There's a lot of things to be uncertain about. But having that foundation of people around you that support you, that believe in you, it's important, man. And not to take that for granted. If you're struggling with your purpose in life and what you're trying to do, look within yourself. It's a cheesy cliche, but what makes you happy? What's gonna make you happy? What's gonna drive you forward to that ultimate goal? And fixing yourself first is the first step, man. And then you go from there.
How does David Shammas look within himself and your passions?
Dude, I'm too self-reflective, man. Tonight I will go home. I'll be staring at the ceiling, thinking to myself, did I say the right things in this podcast today? Did I sound like an idiot? Am I coming off as a douchebag? I'm not sure, but I'm always questioning myself, man. But that's my imperfections, dude. We all have certain insecurities about ourselves.
Progress over perfection, baby.
So on that note, especially with art, I'm sure you probably have people saying, "Hey, yo, that looks amazing. That should be in a museum." How do you keep yourself humbled when you do have a lot of validation around you?
I sometimes either I choose not to believe it, like no, they're just being nice. But you accept it, man. Listen, of course you accept praise. Yes, man. But personally, you want me to be honest? Yes. When people tell me I'm great, I don't take it seriously. Well, people don't tell me I'm great, first of all. Second of all, if I'm at an art show and someone says, and I was doing a live canvas at the Tangent Gallery once, and somebody said, "Wow, man, I really love this painting. You're awesome. Can I buy this painting from you?" Here's my issue. I hate selling my paintings.
Really?
Yeah, and it's funny because it's not that. It's such a stupid thing. It's not that I don't want to sell my paintings. It's that I pull my paintings off my walls. So if I sell a painting, there's an empty space on my wall. And then my worry is, oh my God, now I got to pick up one of these empty canvases and finish it to cover that space. So here's what I do. When that guy came to me and says, "Wow, man, I really love that painting," I said, "You know what? Thank you for that. And if you really want this painting, you'll want it even more if I sat down and made one just for you. And not this painting that I just kind of threw together." When artists, like in this show, will walk up to me like, "Wow, Dave, I love your style. It's like tattoo art. It's like tribal. It's dark. It's different. It's symmetrical." I love that, man. It shows that I have an identity with my own style of artwork. So it's different, man. Like I said, art is subjective. If you stand out, whether it's good or bad in your mind, someone's going to appreciate it. Someone's going to see it for what it is. And you take it for what it is. But it's a motivator for sure, man. It's a confirmation that, yeah, I'm in the right place. People are actually seeing what I'm doing, and I belong. I do fit in here. And that's enough for me, man.
You're using the eye of the beholder, especially when it comes to art, right? And then the people that love your artwork and that really dig into it are just going to gravitate as you continue to develop.
And I'll pick up gigs once in a while. I've done murals. A friend of mine has like a juice bar. I did a mural on her wall. It turned out terrific. I've done a couple of other things. I'll do a couple of art projects. Somebody will call me and say, "Listen, this person's birthday's coming up. I'd love to do," and I'm more than happy to do it, man. It's exciting when I take on these little projects, and once I get to a point, there's always this manifestation of a dream that I have that one day I'll be retired and I'll spend my entire day just sitting there painting, man. However, knowing myself and my neurotic behaviors, I'm probably never gonna sit still. I'll probably still looking for the next project. I'll be hitting you guys up like, "All right, guys, what else can we get involved in? Where can I get my hands dirty?"
Hey, we'll always be looking for help.
It's that perpetual journey, man. That it's never gonna end for me. There's no end goal for me. I'm happy now. That's another thing. People say, "Well, what makes you happy, Dave?" I'm happy now, man. I live in the greatest country in the world.
Amen.
I have friends and family. God willing, I'm in good health and will be so for a while. Everything else is gravy, man. I'm not struggling. It's hard to look at the entirety of the world and what's going on right now and not feel like you're doing okay. Sitting where we are today, sitting in this couch, in this studio with you guys, talking about what I like and the fact that you guys care to hear about it. That's mind-blowing in and of itself. If somebody is watching this show and they say, "Wow, that guy's kind of cool," done, man.
That's how the connecting happens.
You know what I'm saying? I've made it, man. I already made it, dude. You know what I mean? If any of my future ventures fall apart and I'm maintaining what I have, Life is short, man. Are we guaranteed tomorrow? No, dude, we're guaranteed right now. And if right now is doing okay, don't question it.
It's beautiful, man, because you mentioned earlier how you're not trying to always look at the destination, you're kind of even working backwards and just focusing on the now. I mean,
The journey.
That's all we have right now.
The journey, man. That's what it's about, man. That's what it is. I took the last vacation I took a solo vacation to Key West. I wanted to go on vacation. I was ready for a vacation. Couldn't find anybody to go with me. So somebody said, Dave, go to Key West. It's a small island. Rent a moped, ride around for a week. Never done that before in my life. It was one of the greatest experiences ever. Didn't matter if it was Key West or Jacksonville, Florida. The experience was learning that you don't have to have somebody else there to create memories. It's cool to have somebody else like, oh my God, check that out. Or hey man, remember that time? Now I go within myself and say, wow, man, remember that time? I spent a week in a place I'd never been before, was forced to make friends with total strangers, was on my own time, got up when I wanted, went to bed when I wanted, enjoyed the scenery for 7 days, and came back to tell the story alone. It's nothing like you going to another country by your place. Like, that's a real journey. When I think of what you did, my God, that was just a stepping stone. I just went a few thousand miles away to a small island full of tourists. In my mind, that was a huge leap. You moving to another country and traveling, I mean, that's kind of mind-blowing to me.
Okay,
that's not...
Man, each of us have our own journey. I think it's not... I can't compare necessarily, but no, I get you, man.
But it's impressive, man. It's a brave journey, man. It was very inspiring. And I think,
thank you.
Yeah, no, dude, it was really a great thing. And on a small scale, I shared that experience. It was a really cool thing. It opened my mind to being alone, to being on my own. And it was great, man. I loved it. I don't know what the point was to that story, but
no, you're good, man. It seems like you cherish your solitude. I mean, coming from somebody that also like I love solitude because I think it goes back, kind of coming full circle to knowing yourself. Kind of being self-aware is huge in order to be able to find what you're passionate about. But you got to try things, right?
Yeah.
So being in solitude kind of allows you to get that environment for you. Okay, what do I like? What do I don't like? But then you go out there. It's
sure.
Kind of like the theory phase in.
You're so right. You're so right about that. But to a certain extent. I don't want to fall too far into the solitude.
Absolutely.
You know, in the world we're living today, ever since the COVID thing, man, a lot of people have just given up on being social.
It's almost easier to be
antisocial. It really, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad, but like, I don't want social interaction to decline, man. It'd be a sad thing if more and more people decided, you know what, I don't have to leave the house and talk to people. And, you know, if that's what makes them happy. Some people have social awkwardness. Some people have certain issues of being around.
Anxiety.
Yeah, but we're getting into this thing where people are becoming more and more comfortable not interacting. And I hope that's on the decline. I hope people realize that it's our interconnectedness that we thrive on. But in the artistic community, that's never going to go away. We're always going to want to be around each other. We're always going to want to share and be a part of something bigger than ourselves. So I'm hopeful.
Absolutely, and that's what we strive to do. I mean, here at the new platform and with Elite Detroit, we want to be able to connect people and precisely keep social interactions going so people don't just go on, online and whatnot. Although, obviously, through online means, we connect people.
That's why we're here.
I definitely agree. I think it's become easier to do things from within our own house because, Zoom, Skype, all these different mediums for which we can communicate with people halfway across the world makes it easier to say, hey, I'm just going to stay in my own house. But it's almost like a vicious cycle that you can get into because of that conformity limits you from exposing yourself.
You're totally right.
On top of working from home, and if you have a remote job, it just makes it easy for don't want to go out. You got DoorDash, you got all these services. Why go outside?
Talking about food, the food industry, that's why people aren't going into restaurants anymore because you have DoorDash and you have all of these, everything brought to your house. Amazon comes within 24 hours nowadays.
Convenience is becoming way too convenient, man. But convenience leads to complacency, man. The more if you don't have to leave the couch, you might not. If you don't have to leave your house, you might not.
That's true.
And then you get used to that. Like, I have to talk to people? But I have to get in a car and drive somewhere? Why? I don't have to. Yeah, but you might want to. Get out there.
So I guess, coming from where we were to where we are now, what can we expect from David Shammas in the weeks, months, years to come?
Well, I tell you, like I was telling you before, I'm one of those people that I don't like to be confined to any one thing. Having said that, you don't want to miss any opportunities that come along the way. During my cooking and artistic endeavors, 5 years ago, I started experimenting with food again. Started playing around with a dehydrator. Bought myself a food dehydrator, and decided, all right, here's another project. This will be fun. I'll start making, drying my own fruit, creating my own stuff. And by accident, developed a new product, an all-natural fruit snack. It was a weird situation where I was just kind of playing around with something and suddenly created something new and different. It's an all-natural fruit snack that I've been working on for the past 5 years. It's kind of been a side project for me. As I'm developing this product, I started passing it around to my friends, and people started loving it and saying, wow, Dave, this is new and different. It's, if you can imagine a fruit smoothie blended and dried into a crispy chip. It's the best way for me to describe it, and I can't wait till you guys try it. You're gonna love it.
If it's fruit, I'm looking forward to it.
It's blended fruit and dried crispy like a chip. It's delicious. There's nothing else like it on the market. So there's only so much detail I can go into it until we're out there. And trust me, it's coming soon. And the next time you guys see me, we'll talk more about it. I started passing it around to my friends, and then those people said, wow, Dave, you have something interesting. And then one of my close friends noticed and said to me, you know what, Dave, I'm a successful businessman. I see what this is, and I see the potential that it has. Let's go into business together. So here I am in a position where I have this person that's trusting in me, but asking me to trust them in something that could be very lucrative in the future. I've never been in business with other people, but it's been a huge learning experience for me. Now, this guy that I went into business with is a friend of mine that I grew up with, somebody that I really trusted, and said, listen, this is a product that we can make happen. God bless him, he's funding me. And we took on a couple of more partners. And it's going to be a thing really soon. And what I've learned in this new venture in business is that when you have partners, when you've made a commitment to be a part of a group of people that's going to help you thrive in business, you really have to take a step back and appreciate what's going on. What I mean by that is these people have invested money in a dream of mine. I would have never taken this seriously if other people more successful than me said to take it seriously. And these are people that are captains in their industry. My 3 partners have products on shelves right now. And for them to say, you know what, Dave, we believe in you. And from that point on, the dream started happening, and I started getting involved while I was doing everything else. One of the important things I learned is to, like I said, when you step back, so we had plenty of different iterations of the name of the product, how the product was going to look, the direction we were going, and I can personally tell you that the vision I had in my head is nothing like the product that we're coming out with. The product itself is, but the packaging and the labeling and the name, and the reason being was because I'm not the expert here, and that's what I had to remind myself. I would come up with an idea, and they say, "Well, Dave, we did some searching, we did some checking, and this works better than what you had in mind. This is your dream, but because we know what we're talking about, this direction will work better." And I had to step back and say, you know what? Yeah, you're probably right. Whether I agree with you or not,
They broke it down for you?
They broke it down for me like, okay, this visual will respond better than this visual.
Yeah.
This name will fit this better because of this, that, and the other reason. And I not only agreed, I was appreciative that these guys are holding my hand and steering me in the right direction. Instead of saying, oh yeah, everything's great. Yes, you're a genius. Let's just go with that. These people are actually motivated to tell me, okay, we want this to work. So I had to be objective. I had to step back and look and say, okay, you guys know what you're talking about. Let me just let you guys handle that part.
It's that moment to be, the humility aspect comes into it, as well as not having your inner circle put you on a pedestal. Keeping you objective.
Absolutely, man. And that's the most important thing is you don't need to be put on a pedestal. You need to be told what's going to work and what's not. And you have to be humble enough to say, you know what? Yes, I trust what you're doing. That's another thing, man, is trust in people. It's one thing to trust your friends. They're going to be there for you. Trusting people in business is a whole nother thing. But when there's money involved, when it comes to business, these guys have an invested interest. So now they're motivated. Now I have not just me motivated in my dream, but 3 other people that are motivated in this dream. And even if I thought it wasn't going to work, there's no way I would have passed up on the opportunity to see if it could work. If I would have just said, you know what, nah, I'm good. I don't want to go through all this trouble 10, 20, 30 years down the line. Do I really want to look back and say, wow, I wonder, what if? You know what I mean? And I couldn't live with what if. I can never live with the what if. If I have the ability to maybe try to make something, I'm going to go for it. I don't want to disappoint myself or these people that have entrusted me. And I tell you what, I told you it's a 5-year journey. I didn't tell my mom until about a year ago. My family's very supportive. I didn't want them to hype it up. Like, oh my God, we're going to be rich. I kept it to myself, man. A few close friends. But what I didn't want to do is put it out there. Hey, I've got this thing going on. In fact, even to this day, even though we're going to be going to production really soon, it's not going to feel real to me until it's in my hand. It's a tangible thing. And then from that point on, whatever happens won't matter because I would have given it a shot. Whether there's success in it or not, it's checked off my book. All right, I tried the fruit snack thing. It either worked or it didn't. It's like with my last girlfriend. She was amazing. Didn't work out. You know what? You win some, you lose some.
But you learn something, right? There's always something.
But you take something. Absolutely, man. And I'm lucky, dude. What can I tell you, dude? I'm lucky that it's like any other story, man. You stumble on something. You find that window of opportunity. You either close that window, man, or you jump through it.
So yeah, man. I mean, we're looking forward to it. I'm sure I can speak for all the guys here.
We're
looking forward to this.
Yeah, I want to try them.
Oh well, you'll help me throw the launch party, man. I'll need a venue.
So I think for one, that's amazing because I'm trying to think about art, and the way that I think about art is I think about all of this abstract that goes on in your head, and being able to translate that onto whatever medium that is, it becomes tangible. It becomes real, and that's exactly what you've done with this product. You're taking this abstract concept and you're making it real, and that's almost art in itself.
No, you're right, Andreas. It's a good point. It's like I said before. You channel your own energy. Yeah. You highlight your own attributes. We all have skills, man. We all have something that we're either born with, or that's something unique to us that we're willing to contribute. You figure that out, man. But there's a lot of those things in you. That's why this podcast, it's not the beginning or the end. It's just another journey. There'll be other things that are going on. There'll be other things that you're involved in. And that's the same with me, man. It's something I found. I channeled my creative ways, that weirdness in my brain that says, oh my God, let me turn this into something. But then other people recognized it. It's just like being in the art show. When other artists come to me and say, wow, man, your stuff's pretty cool. It's that affirmation. But in this, it's a whole nother level where people are like, wow, you can really actually do something out of this. You can create a legacy from this. It's an opportunity that shouldn't be squandered. And so, like I said, man, it's another journey, and I hope it's a successful one.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're here to support you all the way. So.
I appreciate you guys. And believe me, without support, man, where the hell would I be? Without my friends, without the people having my back, where would I be, really? I don't know. So I'm lucky I don't have to think that way. because I have had the support. I have had people looking out for me and encouraging me and having my back, dude. And it's why I'm where I'm at, man. I never forget that.
Those are truly blessings, I believe. So yeah, and honestly, we're here supporting you. We're inspired by what you're doing, and like I said, the purpose of this show is for us to help each other. You help us by coming to our show, and obviously we can help in promoting what your ventures are, and I think as a community we can all take a little bit something from each other and grow.
It's a great thing you're doing, guys. It really is. And for me to be a part of the first one, my God, man, I mean, I'm honored. When I heard that you guys were doing this, it just made sense. It was kind of the next plateau for you guys. You're expanding your circle. You're getting more people involved and sharing. I mean, it's all about sharing our thoughts and our ideas with the community and what inspires us, and hopefully we can inspire others, man. And it's a huge movement, man. I think it's only going to get bigger. And good luck to you guys, man. I really am impressed with what you guys have got going on.
Appreciate
it. And I'm always going to want to be a part of it.
Of course,
man. So bringing this full circle,
yeah.
You know, with your restaurateur journey, with your, you know, Detroit artist journey, what advice would you give to up and coming artists, whether, you know, local as much as, you know, worldwide, that are listening to this right now, that say, damn, like that sounds so dope, like I want to be a part of something bigger, I want to get my art out there, you know, just share myself out there.
Yeah.
What is the biggest advice you can give to these people?
It's a good one. Here's the advice I'd give. If you know what you want to do with yourself, if you know the direction that you want to go, find other people that are moving in that same direction. It's like a fish swimming upstream. When you're in a group of those same fish swimming up that same stream, at least there's someone else by your side making that same struggle. And if you're moving in the same direction, you're gonna find some success. Maybe the person before you will, maybe the person behind you will, but you're involved in this thing that's larger than yourself. You surround yourself with people that are like-minded, that not only want to succeed but want you to succeed. It's your surroundings, man. It's your environment. It's your state of mind. This window that we're looking out of, it's our own universe. We create it. No one's ever going to know what's in your head, what's going throughout your day-to-day life. Every single person is living their own world. You become a part of someone else's world. You become a part of someone else's thoughts and idea that are moving in the same direction you are, and it makes you stronger. Community, that's for me. I mean, the greater community has brought me to where I am. Other people believing in what I'm doing has brought me where I am. You find those right people in your life. You create your own path. But for me to find success, I followed in the footsteps of the same people creating that path. I surrounded myself with the people of the same like-mindedness. Positivity, man. I don't subscribe to one side or another, and the whole thing with politics and everything else, it's becoming so toxic. The only thing that matters to me is being happy, successful, and seeing other people thrive in the same way. I think the reason why I got to where I am and I'm on the journey that I am is because I recognize that look at other people that are doing what you're trying to do. How can I be involved with those people? It's like with the art world. I found out who was running these art shows, and I said, how can I be involved? I'm somebody that's thinking the way you do. I want to be a part of that. That's how I got involved in art. That's how I got involved in the culinary world. Some great chefs decided, all right, let's pull this dishwasher out of the dish tank and show them how to cut some onions. And then do this, and then do the other thing. Constantly learning from other people that are willing to teach, constantly inspiring from people that are going to bring you that inspiration. It's been the secret to my success. Maybe that path won't work for everybody, but that's where I got to where I am now. And it's proven correct every time, man. It's easy. Just be positive, stay around the other positive, and see what you can do to keep that going. That's my advice, man. It sounds cliche and silly, but it works, man.
There's a reason why it's a cliche.
It works. It works. And I'm happy, man. I'm humble, and I'm happy to be around people like yourselves that are getting me where I want to be, man. I got no complaints.
So, so David, I mean, obviously it has been a pleasure to have you on our show. If people want to find you, where is the best place to find you or reach you at?
Listen, we are going to go live pretty soon with this new venture. The product name is going to be Live Crispy.
Live Crispy for those that.
My Instagram is Detroit Artist, all one word, Detroitartist, all one word. You'll see my ugly mug right there. I'll post some of my artwork. I will link Live Crispy to that, so it'll be coming out soon. And you'll see me wherever Elite is doing something cool and exciting. I will be there. Next time you see me, I'll have some more information, some more links to where we're going. I didn't want to jump the gun about talking about this because it's in development, but I'm excited about it. I know you guys are excited, and I appreciate the platform to help share it with, man. So, coming soon.
Of course. Nice. And we'll certainly be checking back in on David on future installments of the show. But for the time being, that's all the time we had for today. David, thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So
I appreciate you.
You don't have a website or anything? It's just Instagram?
It's Instagram right now, but the product website will be going live soon. It'll be livecrispy.com. Some variation. It'll probably be that, but coming soon, I promise.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We'll make sure to send out the details.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate you, and thank you for having me here, dude. It's been a great experience.
Thank you for your time, man.
Love
Appreciate
you guys.
it.